That's really how we get deals today.
Yeah, I think if I was to get started again and somebody was like interested on Oahu to market to Oahu or do deals in Hawaii, I would take a two-prong approach. I would really go hard at like pulling that list and sending out texts. I think a lot of the homeowners are very, very, very emotionally attached to these properties.
Yeah.
So first, I mean, we're talking about a $1.1 million price point. So I'm talking about like 95% of the value is in the land.
So if you literally, let's say you're able to sell a fully renovated property for $1.5 million, the land is probably worth 1.3 and the structure is only 200,000.
Hi everybody, Jose Luis Morales here. Welcome back to another episode of the Morales Group Show. Today we have two very special guests. It's Kamohai and Trysten, and I think I did the best that I could pronouncing it.
Killed it.
I love
dude.
it.
You did made it.
All right. Cool. So today we're actually going to be talking about house flipping in Hawaii, some of the differences as to how to find deals, how to fund deals, how to renovate the deals, and then how to resell them as well too. So I'm excited about this episode. Never had somebody talk about flipping houses in Hawaii, so I think that this will be good for our viewers. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on.
Happy to be here.
We have an immense passion for real estate and also our home, which is Oahu in Hawaii, and there definitely is some uniqueness to this market, so we're excited, man.
Yeah.
I love it. So for our viewers that don't know who you guys are, who is Kamohai and Trysten?
So I am Kamohai, and this is my better half, Trysten.
Hello.
And we run a real estate investment company here on Oahu. We've been in business since 2018. For the past 6 years, we roughly flip between 25 and 30 houses a year. Now, our price points our median price point is $1.1 million here on Oahu. And I think our average profit margin is right around 150 grand net.
Yeah. But our main goal is we flip so that we can buy rentals, and we actually enjoy buying rentals through creative finance. So that's really the type of real estate investing we do. We fix and flip, and then we do buy and hold through creative finance.
I love it. And then for the buy and holds, are those on the island as well too, or do you guys go out of the island as well too to do that?
Yeah, I mean, so we have a mix. We love our backyard, but as most people know, Hawaii is a high equity appreciation state. It isn't necessarily a cash flow state. It's very hard to find good cash flowing rentals here unless you break up a single family into like multiple units, right? And that is possible. But we do have some short-term rentals here in legal short-term rental areas on Oahu. And then we're building a portfolio in Hilo. It's on another island where price points are a lot lower and you can still find cash flowing properties there, as well as Florida. So we're in a few markets in Florida, but our focus over there is mostly short-term rentals.
I love it. So for a viewer that maybe wanted to learn about the Hawaii real estate market, wanted to learn maybe how to flip properties in Hawaii, what would you say is the first step? Like, I know like in the States, it's finding a list. Is that similar in Hawaii or is that any different? And if so, like what type of leads or lists would lead to motivated sellers or sellers looking to sell at a discount?
Yeah, so I think there are a lot of the same principles apply in Hawaii. We can go into like the differences, but I think for somebody that's just getting started, a list is a good place to start. I remember when we first started direct to seller. So when we got into the industry, we were taught to go on the MLS and put offers in.
Make aggressive offers over and over and over and over.
Right. And we did that for a long time. We got our first few deals, but in 2018, if you remember, it was a little easier to find deals on the MLS.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So once it started hitting COVID time, competition got crazy over here. We couldn't find good deals on the MLS. So we started direct to seller, right? And the list that worked for us great in the beginning was a high equity absentee owner list. So out of state absentee owners, these are people that are not living in Hawaii. They just have investment properties in Hawaii. So we're targeting that list with at least 10 years of ownership. I sat down in my office and sent out text messages just by myself. It was just me and her.
In the beginning,
1,000 text messages a day. 90 days in, I had 3 contracts.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So now the marketing that we do is still very direct to seller, heavy focused on cold calling and texting. But we also do Google Ads, so PPC, and then we do a lot of referral business. So realtor referrals, junk removal company referrals, just other investors wanting to joint venture on deals. So that's really how we get deals today.
Yeah, I think if I was to get started again and somebody was like interested on Oahu to market to Oahu or do deals in Hawaii, I would take a 2-prong approach. I would really go hard at like pulling that list and sending out texts. I think texts are very, very valuable here in Hawaii. The cool thing is that there's not a lot of people marketing here. When we got started and I was sending out these texts and I was getting on phones with sellers, I was the first person that ever had sent them anything. And so that is a bonus, right? If you can get in, be consistent, and send those texts out every single day, it's a good thing to do that. I also feel like at the same time, you start building your relationships with agents and realtors. There are a ton of agents here, just like everywhere, but they are kind of the key holders, right? And so if you can get in with a couple agents that are well established here, that have done a lot of business here, everything is about relationships in Hawaii. I think in general, right, we're talking about relationships being so important. Just in life, relationships are. But in Hawaii, they're even more important. It's almost like who do you know more than what you know.
I think what has helped our investing career is our last name. Being a Kalama, which is what our last name is, it's a big Hawaiian family here. And every time he gets on a phone with a seller, the first conversation or the first question is, are you a Kalama from Kailua? And the answer is yes. And then that's really what builds that rapport and the walls come down. So like he said, relationships are everything. But I think in Hawaii, it's that much more significant because it's like, who's your family? Where did you go to school? Is this your parents? And so being from this place, him being a native Hawaiian, it definitely allows for more rapport building straight out the gate and has helped us help other people that are in distress and need to sell their property.
What I wanted to ask you guys is, because I think that relationships are important as well too, but what does it mean to be a Kalama or from a certain island? Like, do you guys mind talking about a little bit about that? Because it sounds like it's almost like if you're, it sounds like it's important. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's important. And then if you're not if you're not from here, it's like, how do you become my friend? Right. And how do we collaborate together to get you in the door, kind of a thing. Right. Yeah. I mean, Hawaii is such a small place. And a lot of the houses here have been in families for generations, just passed down through generations. Hawaii also has a very unique relationship with land and a unique relationship with the United States in general, right? And so a lot of the old Hawaiian families, there's not like, you can trace it all the way back to where there's just a group of bigger families, right? And the last name really it draws like a connection. Like there's just a connection. Oh, you knew my auntie's uncle's cousin's auntie. You know what I mean? And then the walls come down. It's easier to have conversations. Families' reputations can bring you credibility. And
you can
so
trace lineage back to a certain, like, where your family is from on the island and who your ancestors are and all this stuff. So the last name and the lineage really is your identifier and your key holder in the community, if that makes sense.
It is funny too. The number one question that you get asked in Hawaii is like, okay, hey, my name is Kamohai. What high school did you go to?
Really?
Where did you go to school? Because it also identifies, okay, well, you are from that area and your family's from that area. And again, it traces the lineage. So it's Hawaii culturally is very different from the United States in general, although we are a part of it. So like when people start marketing here, it's totally possible for people to market here and to do deals here and to be successful, but you really have to understand the culture. And so a lot of the people that he gets contracts with, he's meeting them face to face. Hawaii is a place where they don't want to just have you negotiate over the phone and send a contract through DocuSign. They want to see you. They want to touch you. They want to make sure that the connection is real. So wouldn't you agree with that?
No, I totally agree. I mean, I still, because we're a part of a bunch of mentorships. We're huge proponents of education, right? And so we have like a bunch of people in the United States that do real estate, and some of them market to Hawaii. They'll hit me up when they get any kind of lead in Hawaii, and we'll be the boots on the ground for them. You know what I mean? But it's just that much easier and that much better to be face to face, like belly to belly.
Hawaii is old school. That's like an easy way to put it. We're super old school.
I think too, real estate here, a lot of the homeowners are very, very, very emotionally attached to these properties. Yeah. So first, I mean, we're talking about a $1.1 million price point. So that's normally what I see is the higher the price point goes, it's a little bit harder to work in those price points. Not impossible, but it becomes almost like an emotional thing for these sellers as opposed to a transactional one. You know what I mean? And so it takes a little bit more, I would say, to really bridge that gap and build those relationships with those sellers. But I mean, it's 100% possible.
You know, it's crazy. It reminds me of Mexico. It reminds me of Mexico. Like when you guys were saying, like, I go to Mexico every year with my wife, and one of the things that they'll ask you is like, what's your last name, to find out which family you belong to as well, too, because a lot of the families out there, like Fernandez, Cerda, or whatever, they know each other, or they'll ask, who is your dad and who is your grandpa, because they're trying to make that common link as well, too. So it's funny because when you were saying that, it reminded me a lot of that. Just out of curiosity, what are some of the other like common last names or the other families aside from the Kalama that maybe are crucial to the area?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton. And every little community has like this set of families. So like in Kailua, there's the Raposas. There's, what are some of the other ones?
Akiona, Akana,
Cobb Adams.
There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah. So like every area. Every area has them, but I think it's just the familiarity just helps.
Yeah, and I feel like very similar to Hispanic culture, we're super family oriented, right? So I think everything goes back to your family, who you are and who your family is.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So what would you guys say, like, obviously, the family is important. Aside from that, what are some of the other key differences in maybe doing flips in other areas versus Hawaii, if any?
Yeah.
I mean, there's
a lot. So a lot of our value of our properties is in the land. It's not in the structure. So that's, I think, one big difference. I think our zoning is super different from other places. We have a lot of zoning laws and restrictions, and our permitting is the worst in the country.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
It is the worst in the country. We're talking about waiting 1 to 2 years sometimes to get a permit to renovate a property. So it's horrendous. It's an archaic system. Again, that's why I said it's very old school. And so when I see other people walk in and walk out in the same day and get a permit, it honestly makes me really sick and sad, because that's impossible here. It's impossible.
I think if you don't know how to navigate that just one thing, you'll get shut down almost right away. So like it's almost like we have to operate in the gray. And again, it comes back to relationships again. But that one piece is very, very hard to deal with. I think on the marketing side, one of the other challenges is that because Hawaii is so old school, they are slow motion with releasing data. So it's almost like every data provider
can't get accurate data here.
Right. It's like the data's old. You get a lot of wrong numbers. It's a lot of trial and error. I've had like these big data software companies reach out to basically everyone. Like, I want good data, and they all give me the same response. Hawaii is the most difficult to work with releasing county data. So,
yeah.
So how do you value properties if most of the value is based on the land and not the structure?
Isn't that weird? It's crazy. Like, I mean, we do. It's the exact same
it's the same.
We're just looking at like for like comps, and just looking at,
recent sales.
Exactly. Recent sales in the area. I think the principles stay exactly the same. It's just knowing when you're evaluating on the front end, like figuring out what it's worth as is, where you need to be to purchase it. And then you're just looking at sold comps to check ARVs. But I'm talking about like 95% of the value is in the land.
So if you literally, let's say you're able to sell a fully renovated property for $1.5 million, the land is probably worth 1.3 and the structure is only 200,000.
Got it.
Which is why our property taxes are pretty high too, because they're the land.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through like a typical flip for you guys? Like, what does it look like on the acquisition price? How much are we spending renovating? What type of work that we usually do? And then obviously the resale, what that looks like, and maybe how long it takes to resell it in timelines as well.
For sure.
Yeah, totally. So our sweet spot buying is right around between 800 and 950 is where we want to be on a buy. Our average renovation is $250 to $275,000 average. And that includes
a full gut renovation from foundation to roof. I think another nuance of our real estate here is that a lot of our original homes that were built are single wall construction. So meaning they're TNG, tongue and groove connected together. One side's inside, one side's outside, which is totally uncommon. You really don't see that anywhere else in the United States. So when we renovate a property, we always have to make it double wall construction. So far out the walls and make it into insulation and industry standard to what people expect today. So yeah. And another nuance is that we are on an island. I know, shocker, right? But we have to ship everything in. So a lot of our material gets marked up. So our cost of construction is just more expensive because everything gets shipped in. If you want to special order something that maybe you want a pretty tile that we don't have here on the island, you're going to pay for shipping. And sometimes the shipping cost is more expensive than the actual cost of material. So it's always a battle when it comes to your renovation cost and your cost of materials, which is why our renovations on average are $250,000.
Yeah. And then We're normally holding these properties between 6 and 8 months, I would say, it for a full turnaround. And like Trysten said, we're getting the worst of the worst houses. That's where the most value is for us. We can add the most value to those things. So I would say our resale price on those is right around 1.6 to 1.7. Obviously we've had a lot better deals than that, but that's kind of like our sweet spot. Like buy
Average deal.
yeah. 800-900 250 rehab, resale 1575 to 17.
Yeah.
How big or small are these houses? Like 1,100 square feet, 2,000, 3,000 square feet, just to kind of get an idea.
Yeah, normal, the ones that I'm talking about right here, 1,700 to 2,200 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
For that example.
It's actually pretty rare to get a 3,000 square foot house here in Hawaii. Our homes are on the smaller end. Yeah.
Yeah. The old traditional Hawaiian homes, and we have some friends that work in certain areas on Oahu, and we can get into that, the little submarkets of Oahu, and the differences and nuances in those. They play in like a lower price point where the margins are smaller, the rehabs are smaller, the houses are smaller, the purchase prices are smaller, right? Like their average buy is probably $375 to $400, and then they resell at right around $7,000, and they're doing like $120,000 rehab, and that's like out on the west side, the most affordable place left on Oahu.
Yeah, where you can still purchase a home under $1 million. We like to play in a more luxury space on the east side of Oahu, because we're from the east side.
From the east side, there's bigger margins on those things. One of the crazy things for Hawaii that it sets itself apart from a lot of the other investing in the mainland is, how we're taught that we need to rinse and repeat. We're volume. You use the same materials, get in and out real quick, have everything streamlined, lined up. Here on Oahu, like for us, we're creating basically custom homes. Very custom, unique, well-designed, well-thought out properties. We don't use the same material across the whole board. Every property is unique. And I think that might be more of just our niche and preference, but we're seeing like super good results with that. And we're able to fetch the highest price points for these houses, as well as selling them very, very quickly. I think our last 4 or 5 sales, we've gone on into contract within a week.
Yeah. I feel like there's a need for quality and luxury product here in Hawaii, not just a cookie cutter builder grade product, but more of a luxury, well thought out, designed home. And we're proof that if you put out that type of product, it'll move, and there's a desire and a demand for it, for sure.
Do you guys have a TV show yet? Like, I just had a vision right now of you guys like flipping houses. Because when you guys are talking about like custom houses, like custom design, I just thought like you guys, if you guys don't have one, I think you guys would be perfect for it. Do you guys have it already or no?
We can't talk about it.
Oh, damn. That's so funny.
But that's crazy that you brought that up.
I'm winking to you. Yeah. I can't really wink.
We neither confirm or deny, but
we may be in the middle of something really big.
Yeah, that's the impression that I got from you guys right now. Like, as we're talking about the custom design, I'm like, these guys are paying attention to detail and doing it in a unique marketplace. And I love the story about the family and the culture and all that. So congratulations. You heard it here first. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So who are the buyers for these types of properties? Are these people buying from the States? Are these people buying from different countries? Are they locals, natives? Who are buying the type of properties that you guys renovate?
Yeah, so this is often a misconception for a lot of people in Hawaii too, is that all of these properties are being bought by outside foreign investors coming in and buying these houses, right? But the crazy thing is statistically, Hawaii, all the sales in Hawaii are majority local.
Yep.
So like 75% of sales are local sales. And so even in the price point that this is the cool thing about real estate and why we love it so much, is that when you control the asset, you get to decide who you sell it to, right? And so our mission has always been, let's keep local families here. Let's try and keep local families here. So a lot of the times what happens is we'll get these houses at such a good discount, and we'll renovate them. We'll be able to find a local family, no realtors involved. So direct to seller, direct to buyer. We find the local family. We cut out all the realtor commissions. We give the property to this local family without those fees, under market value, and they're walking into a good amount of equity.
Right.
We make what we need to make, and we move on to the next one. Right.
So we always try to do that first. We always try to market directly to buyers first. And if it works out, amazing. That's the main goal. But if it doesn't, then of course we have our agents that we work with and it'll go on market. But like he said, I mean, there is a narrative being pushed in Hawaii right now of being priced out of paradise. And he and I hate that narrative so much. And we'll probably catch a lot of slack for saying we don't like it, because we're living proof. We're local people born and raised here in Hawaii, and we were struggling once. But once we understood how money works and got financially educated and took bet on ourselves to get into real estate and make a difference in our lives, now we don't have to be priced out of paradise. We can actually thrive here where we're born and raised in our home. And we want people, local people, to understand that they don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. They can thrive here in Hawaii, and being able to provide these quality products and then control who buys them and put local families back into home, where a lot of the times the main largest purchase that people make is what? Their house.
Their home.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a stepping stone for wealth. And so if we can be a part of that and help contribute that to more families, then that's the main goal.
I love it. You know, it's crazy. I'm a believer of the same thing, that a lot of times people who are priced out, they just need new information. Once they get that
Exactly.
new
That's
information,
it.
they could have anything that they ever want in life. You know, it just requires new information and different relationships with different people.
Yes, exactly.
100%.
Exactly. And
Yep.
it is that simple. It really is that simple.
What does the job market look like out there? Like for these people that are local buying a $1.6 million property, like what do they do for a living? What is the majority of the job market look like out there for the locals?
It's really mixed, honestly. So there's a lot of labor jobs. There's a lot of state jobs. There's physicians and medical assistants. We have a lot of tourism, and we have a lot of military.
Yeah, so I mean, it's across the spectrum for us. For the people that are actually buying these houses, we have sold to entrepreneurs, so people that own their own companies. We sold a $2.35 million house to a local family, been here for
Off-market.
generations, off market, and they own a roofing company, a fire protection company. So we sell to those kinds of people. We have sold to like bankers, people that work in the bank, all kind of different. We sold a property to somebody that's a guard, an ACO.
Yeah, at a women's correctional facility.
Yeah, women's correctional facility.
Yeah.
So it's kind of across the board.
Yeah,
I would
ranges.
say our higher end houses are normally like business owners or
Or physicians.
physicians, high ranking executives in like banks and stuff. But Hawaii is a very our number one driver is tourism. Yeah. So there's a ton of like hotel industries and everything that goes around tourism. But yeah, I would say it's kind of across the boards by people that are buying these houses.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about zoning and like restrictions with Hawaii, like Airbnb. Like Los Angeles, certain parts of Los Angeles are very high density, meaning like you can build apartment complexes, you could have 15 units on one lot. what does that look like in Oahu, and or where you guys are mainly doing business? Is it mainly single families and hotels, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so where we are on the windward side, it's mainly single family, like single family rules. There are those specific zones that you're talking about that have the apartment zoning, and then the hotels are a very big thing. The difficulty has been how restrictive building is here. I mean, you have to basically go through everything to get like an ADU. Just like, because I know, didn't California pass something where they got like more relaxed on the ADU laws, and they're allowing them in. There's areas on Oahu that you're not allowed to
Build it at all.
build anything at all. You know what I mean? So it's super difficult. And then if we start talking about short-term rental space, I mean, I know Hawaii is a tourist state, right? So the hotels have all the lobbying power in the world. Their biggest fight is let's shut down Airbnb. And that has happened over the last 3 years. On Oahu specifically, they have gotten crazy restrictive with Airbnb to the point where no single family homes can be Airbnb now.
You have to be in what's called a resort mixed use area. And then even in that, you can only have 30-day rentals in a short-term capacity. So it's very, very restrictive. And then, like I said, when it comes to zoning, you can't, if your property is oceanfront, then there's a lot more restrictions. You have to go through a lot more approvals because you're in a special management area. You can't build over a certain square footage if you're in certain zoning. The ADUs, you're not even allowed if you're zoned, what is it? Like less than R10 or less than R75?
R75.
Yeah. So if your property, R5 meaning like 5,000 square feet, like, or you can't build an ADU. You have to have a 7,500 square foot lot, period, in order to build an ADU, and that ADU can only be 900 square feet. So like there's just a lot more nuances, but you're going to submit all your plans and your drawings, and you're going to wait a year before you can even do any of that.
If you're lucky,
you're lucky.
Yeah, it's taking about a year from submission to approval. There's a huge pushback right now with the DPP. So what ended up happening was, over the years, the system was so slow that the people in the system started taking bribes. That's basically what it was. It was a pay-to-play model. So if you paid the right people, they'd push your permits through. The FBI got wind of that about 3 years ago, and they did a full investigation. They shut everything down. A bunch of people went to prison.
Yeah.
And so now they're like very, very stringent. The exact opposite, right? Everything has to be by the book. And what's happening is this major backlog of permits in the system. They don't have enough manpower. I think there's and this is the thing too, they don't have the right systems in place. Right. I think we have right now 60% of all the permits in that backlog are solar permits,
just to get solar put on your house.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
And then the problem is they require a permit for any work valued over $1,000,
which is anything here in Hawaii.
Everything. Yeah. Right. So you can't do anything to your house without the permit. So it's very, very difficult.
Right.
It almost reminds me a little bit of California, like the market where I'm in as well too. And I guess that's part of the reason why prices go up so much, because the building is so restrictive, which causes like a shortage of supply, which makes prices go up tremendously. I'm doing a 7-unit apartment that I bought in 2017. And just recently, like maybe like 6 months ago, we got permits, and that's like 5 years later. And I went into it thinking, like, they told me less than a year you'll have permits. 5 years later, I was like, man, that was like one of the worst things that I ever did, just because I didn't realize that. So now when I'm looking at that type of project, I'm just like, for certain cities, I'm just like, I want nothing to do with it. But very similar as Hawaii, where I
Mhm.
kind of get the same feeling. What I wanted to
Mhm.
ask you, and this is maybe just me, a lack of information, funding, like, is it
Mhm.
similar to like the States where you have the FHA, VA on the resale? And then also, how are
Yep.
you guys funding some of these properties, like hard money loans, or is it just all cash? And what are some of the terms that maybe that are they more expensive, the private money loans or hard money, than in the States, or are they very similar?
Yeah, I mean, I love that question. It's so the VA, FHA, all of that is the same. It's very similar here. As far as how we're funding deals, it's every single deal we're hard money, private money. We work with a ton of mainland hard money companies.
Yeah.
And so we've built relationships with these guys, and they love Hawaii because we're doing big deals here. They're
And the
making
margins are, yeah,
they're
they make
making a lot of money off of us. Yeah. So we have some interesting relationships with hard money companies, but our typical hard money fund is 90% of purchase,
100% of rehab.
100% of rehab. We're normally paying about a point and a half,
Same.
and
Yeah.
our interest ranges from 875 to 925,
Mhm.
and that's on average. We have gone higher, obviously, when everything kind of slowed down. Everybody was pulling.
A lot of hard money companies went under, right?
Yeah, when interest rates jumped, and so but the highest that I've seen for hard money here, with
10.99.
us, was 10.99.
10.99.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interest.
And
So
then private money is really relationship based, as everyone knows. But I mean, people are offering anywhere from 9 to 12%
a
for
typical
private.
private money loan here is 10%,
Yeah.
annualized 10%. And
Right.
that's what we pay most of our private money lenders.
Yeah.
And we're doing all of our notes for a year. We always do it for a year because we're holding, 6 to 8 months, but we have all of these like issues with permits and
Mhm.
stuff. So we'd rather be safe than sorry. So every private money lender gets a note for a year. And yeah, I mean, we pay them when we actually pay a couple ways. Like, we'll do monthly payments to the lenders if they want to, like, say they're lending out of a HELOC or an IRA, something that they have to make payments on, or we just balloon them out at the end.
Yeah. So, I
Yeah.
mean, probably very similar to the mainland, right? Hard money, private money. I feel like in our price point, you would need to be sitting on a lot of cash if you're using all cash. If we're doing 25 to 30 deals a year minimum at a million purchase all in with renovation, like
Yeah, it's hard to
it's
scale that.
yeah.
I mean, at any given time, we'll be between 7 and 12 deals active. And so if those all are $1 million, it's a lot of money
Right.
Oh yeah.
to
Big
do
time.
all cash.
Not to say we haven't, but yeah, we prefer to
Spread it out.
hard money and private money. And then we do have cash sales too. We just sold a couple. The last property we sold was a cash sale to a Hawaiian family, and that felt really good.
I love it. Tristan, are you from Hawaii as well too? Like,
Yep,
meaning like
born and raised.
born? I love it. That's
Yep.
awesome. Cool.
hmm
A lot of people, when they look at house flipping, they look at it just like this easy thing. Just like you can make a lot of money, you can also lose a lot of money as well too. I know people that when the marketplace shift, including myself, I lost money on some deals.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are maybe some of the mistakes that maybe you guys have made? And what are some of the lessons learned from those? Because there's always a lesson after
Oh,
everything.
100%.
I honestly love that you brought this up, because I think in our industry, and especially on social media, it's very, real estate is glamorized. It almost seems like you can just get in and it's a no-brainer. You're going to make a ton of money,
Get
right?
rich quick.
I mean,
yeah.
people want to see all the wins, but they don't talk necessarily about the losses, right? And so, yes, we're talking about all this stuff, but when interest rates rose, we lost money on a bunch of deals.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so I just love that you brought this up.
No, 100%. We like to say that on our very first flip ever, we got a master's degree in flipping because everything that could have gone wrong absolutely went wrong. So we didn't have a great contractor. He wasn't the best, so he went over timeline. And then we underestimated the cost to fix the foundation of the house that we bought. We also bought this house in the dark, so we really didn't see what we bought. And what we thought maybe was going to be 10 to 15,000 to shore up a foundation cost us $40,000. And then we went to market, and COVID shut down our entire state. So we went to market in March of 2020, and that's right. And that's when like everything, like the world shut down. So people stopped buying, people stopped selling. So we sat on market way longer than we thought. So yeah, just mismanagement. We had no idea what we were doing. You don't know what you don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had never swung a hammer. I didn't know what was what, you know? So, but in the middle of that one, we went and bought another one. So like, we're a glutton for punishment, honestly. But yeah, I mean, we hold a monthly meetup here, real estate investing meetup here, where we showcase our projects, and we literally do exactly that. We tell you how we got the deal, what we did for the renovation, and then if what we're hoping to sell it for, or if it's already in escrow, what is in escrow for. And we tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we don't want anybody's first deal to be their last deal because of what's portrayed on social media, that it's easy and it's glamorous. Because although it's very rewarding, it's a high risk industry. You know what I mean? So, and then we also showcase other investors where they do the same thing, where they open up their project and they talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we will always show up authentically on all of our socials, telling you about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, I think it gets very easy to underestimate rehab costs. That was one thing in the beginning that I think a lot of people go in. Most people are underestimating what the cost of the rehab is going to be and construction is going to be. So I would say make sure every single time you go out and look at a property, especially in the very beginning, that you have a contractor that's going to go with you and bid that project for you. So you have hard numbers. Like, there's a lot of price per square foot numbers that float around different markets. And it's really, really, really easy to lose everything because you're underestimating that rehab cost.
Well, and in high price points, you're not just losing $10,000, $20,000. You could lose $200,000. You know what I mean?
Easy.
So yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Cool. So I have enjoyed this interview tremendously. Is there anything else that you guys think would add value to our viewers, or anything else that people should know about investing in Hawaii? And then where could people get a hold of you as well, too?
People can find us on all social media platforms at Kamohai and Trysten. It's right there on the screen. I don't know if you can right there.
Yep.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all at Kamohai and Trysten.
But honestly, I think the main thing is just reach out. If you guys do have specific questions about Hawaii, our market, doing deals on Oahu, reach out to us. We are an open book. We will always preach to be an open book and show you that through our actions. If we know the answer, we'll share it. If we don't know, we'll find out.
we will help you however ever you need. I mean, we've walked a ton of people that have brought leads down here through a deal. Like, we're firm believers that what you put out into the universe, you're going to get back. And if you help enough people get what they want, you're going to end up getting what you want. So please reach out. I think for anyone on today's podcast, like, it is possible. I think that's like the biggest thing, honestly. And it's about understanding that, but then taking the first step. So get focused on what you want to do and take consistent action.
Yep.
I love it. Good. Well, I want to say thank you to both of you. I enjoyed this interview tremendously. If you guys do happen to pop up on TV, I can't wait to watch it with me and my wife. So if that ever did magically happen, to our viewers out there, I just wanted to say thank you guys for taking the time to watch this. If you have enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you feel that this episode would be helpful to a friend, family, or neighbor, feel free to hit that share button. And then if you guys ever come across a deal in Hawaii, I would reach out to Kamohai and Trysten and maybe run the deal by them. They can be your boots on the ground. Maybe they can partner up with you guys, or you guys can work out something creatively. Once again, thank you, Kamohai and Trysten, and I appreciate you guys. And for our viewers, until next time.